Hello, Internet, Periscope. How are you doing? How are it going today? Hope that you're good. Listen, I'll try to be brief. Hope that this is helpful. We're going to read just a couple of verses from Hebrews 12 to encourage us as we run the race. We talked about yesterday that Paul connects self-control, living a disciplined life in Christ, to running the race, and then also to boxing in 1 Corinthians 9. And then in Hebrews 12, the writer of Hebrews talks about our life of faith. He's just listed this long list of heroes of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. And so then he says, therefore, let us run this race with endurance. And so he connects us living our lives in Christ to a race. And it's important to see what kind of race that he compares this to. It's an endurance race. It's a marathon. Now, I'm not very versed in running and marathons. I've maybe dabbled a little bit in that. I've briefly thought about running one, but I'm not gotten to that point yet, and I honestly don't know that I ever will. But it's interesting to consider, especially in light of what the Hebrews writer says. Hebrews 12, notice verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, all those heroes from chapter 11, let us throw off everything, lay aside everything that hinders, that holds us back, and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance or perseverance the race set before us, marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Now, I'm not used to reading out of the NIV. That's the translation that I had most handy at the time. But it still conveys this idea. And there's one simple point of emphasis in how to run a marathon. There's one piece of advice if you're going to run 26.2 miles. And really the same if you're going to run 13.1 or whatever it is, a half marathon. Or if you're going to run a 50-mile marathon, what's that called, an ultra marathon? There's one piece of advice. Keep going. And that's the advice we get from the Hebrews writer about this race of faith. It's the race of endurance. It's the race of perseverance, to keep going. We have to prepare. Training is different from trying. We need to prepare, and he tells us the things we need to do in order to prepare. Lay aside sin, lay aside the things that hold us back. Look to Jesus, keep our eyes fixed and focused. But the key to running a race of endurance is to never stop. So don't give up. We're going to be in heaven with all these wonderful people from Hebrews 11 who kept going. And so our takeaway, our advice to us is to keep going. Run the race. Push yourself just as a marathon runner does. To keep going, to finish the race. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't let anything hold you back. But run the race of endurance, looking to Christ to finish following him. Let that be the thought of the day. We're going to be in heaven with people who kept going, and so we need to keep going. And we're thankful that as the Hebrews writer closes this fantastic letter, or maybe it's a sermon as some have proposed, he closes with this beautiful analogy. Let us run the race of endurance. So keep going.